Hey yo, check. Hey yo, hit fire, blade fly, crest smooth clip hanging out the whip ride. 100 shot pop, get your shit fried. We know the hurt, murk guys, multiply the pack fast, serve tune curbside. I swear this shit feel like a birthright.
All right, what's going on? This is your boy, the Serpent Tongue, and I'm here with a very special guest. If you want to introduce yourself.
Peace, the hidden character.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for accepting my offer for the interview.
Absolutely.
All right, so as I told you over text, I wanted to talk about your album that was now officially last year, The Hidden Splash.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. So I've been seeing so much critical acclaim for this album. I remember buying it the day of on Bandcamp, and it's still been one of my most replayed albums, and of course, production by Bone Weso. So I just want to dissect that and have you tell me how that album came to be, the process behind the album, and everything in between.
And it's pretty long, you know what I mean? Because that album, we started recording it. He just started sending me beats and stuff. And this was like maybe, I want to say maybe like a year after the him and Knack did. Um, we were never systematically free. I
Yeah,
forget the name. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
mhm,
So he started sending me beats, and I just started like randomly writing, recording some of it like here at my spot, like with my setup, and then over at the mini and stuff. And it first started, and I think we recorded like 14 tracks.
mhm.
And we're always in connection with ST Knack and stuff when we doing like drops through 23 Incredible. um just to kind of like get feedback, and pretty much like a curation process through ST Knack, where we kind of like just run stuff through him whenever he does a 23 Incredible Presents drop.
Yeah.
And we recorded, I think it was like maybe like around 13, 14 tracks. And he's just like, yo, y'all already got like damn near, you know what I mean, two whole albums, just like finish recording, like do like, you know what I mean, a couple more, split it into two albums. And we're like, oh, I bet. Uh, so we did that, and we just like picked 10 random tracks, you know what I mean? And um, that's how it pretty much came about, you know what I mean?
So tell me, what's it like being in the studio with someone like Ben Werso? Because obviously he's someone I love, and I put him at my number one spot for producer of the year on my list. And to me he's the underground Dr. Dre. I've been telling everyone that that's how I feel. And what's it like being in the studio with someone with that much talent and that much skill behind the studio?
Man, it's like super organic, at least for me, because like I've known him very long. You know what I mean? He's kind of like, I look at him like my uncle, you know what I mean? We're like, we have some relation through family and stuff. So I've known him for a very long time. So we've always just, we always cross paths and like, yo, we need to work and stuff. We need to work. And it wasn't until, a couple years ago that we like really got to sat down at the mini, and we're like, yo, yeah, we need to put this album together and stuff. And it's just like very organic, like, like just hanging with one of my homeboys, or like, you know what I mean, like hanging with one of my family members. And we just you know what I mean, everything just comes natural. We just chilling, you know what I mean? Might have some beers and stuff, crack some jokes, you know what I mean? Have watch something on the TV and just get into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So as far as the track list goes, obviously the final cut was 10 tracks. And what was the process of choosing the features? Because I know you have Esther, you have Al Davino, you have Mondo Slade, shout out to the merch Mondo, Bory Rock, and OG1. So like I know you guys are super tight because you guys are always on each other's albums, the whole pair, the whole it's like an underground family. So what do you guys just call each other like, oh, do you want to be on my album? Do you want to do on this? Like,
Yeah, pretty much. So like I'll start recording like whatever tracks, like if I'm in the swing of like writing, like I'll just, you know what I mean, I'll make a whole track myself. And then whatever, I'll write a verse or something, and I'm like, oh, I hear this person on it, you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like, let me send this to this person. Half the time it doesn't work out like that, like where it's like, oh, I hear this person, I want this person on there, and it just ends up being someone else that gets on it, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
normally, for the most part, those most of them were like that, like, oh, I hear this person on there, you know what I mean? And um even instantly, like even before I record to the beats, like, oh, this beat sounds like Aldovino, or like this beat sounds like Body Rock, you know what I mean? And then it's just, you know what I mean, goes from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's how much, yeah, pretty much how it like came together, you know what I mean? Like I'll just hit people up, like, yo, what's up? Yo, I need you on this track. You know what I mean? Can you hop on this one? And yeah.
So in the studio with Bone, do you guys like, because I know you guys are close and obviously you both know each other for a while, but when it comes to the creating process, when it comes to the actual process of making the songs, do you guys like, in the professional sense, do you guys like, butt heads over what you want, how you want to be like, are you guys like super competitive in the studio, or do you just listen to what he says, or?
Nah, there's like never really any competition when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Like not so much with like a producer. Like I feel like we have friendly competitions with like in between us where we're like, oh man, you fucking smoked me on that track. Like I'm about to try to one up you on this one. You know what I mean? And it's just like a friendly competition. But like as far as like a producer, like um Bones will just like unload on me. He'll just send me packs after packs, and sometimes I can't even keep up with him. To be honest, if I go through my messages right now, I've probably got like about 1,000 Bones beats that like that I could just like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I like this one, and but yeah, sometimes he will, you know what I mean? He'll suggest some stuff where he'll be like, yo, I hear you on this one. Like this one is you, and like it'll instantly click. Or sometimes we'll disagree and we'll be like, oh, this, you know what I mean, I don't really like this one. Or you know what I mean, like I'll save some, and sometimes I don't use some of the beats, you know what I mean, I might use them to write for other stuff, just
Yeah.
to like get inspiration from. Um so yeah, so it's like a give and take thing, you know what I mean, like where we like put the best of our inputs in together to create these tracks.
Yeah. So considering the track, the 10 tracks, how much control did you have over the placing of the tracks? Or did you choose it all? What goes number one? What goes number 10?
No, honestly, I didn't. Now that I remember, like it was, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been Knack that I honestly can't even remember. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like a blur that time. Um, that I was recording the album, you know what I mean? I was going through a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? And I was just like putting all my energy into just recording and just sending him stuff. And then it was just like, oh yeah, these are the best 10 that fit good, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like I don't think it was like that much of a process to like putting the tracks together, you know what I mean? Like as far
Yeah.
as like the order, it's just,
Yeah.
happens to sound the way that it does, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So okay, so I want to talk about your rapping because as I've told you on messages, I've shown this album specifically to friends who aren't even who don't even listen to underground hip hop. Some of them
Mm.
don't even listen to hip hop that much, and they love your style. So, what's your process of rapping? Do you write it down on paper and then go into the studio? Is it all the top? Like, how do you conceptualize your verses?
Um, Sometimes like I'll pre-write stuff, so like if Bones sends me beats, like I'll just jot down stuff, you know what I mean? Like while I'm moving around, as I'm looking at things, you know what I mean? And just like writing things down. Normally I write like on like my notes and stuff from my phone, and it's kind of like how can I explain it? Like someone, you know what I mean, like almost like a poet walking around with his notebook, and he sees something and just, oh, let me write, you know what I mean, let me try to like convert this into a rap. Or like I'll hear a word and I'm like, oh, yo, that word sounds cool, I'm gonna put this in a rap, you know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
like, I don't think there's too much of like a thinking process. It's just like I'm in the mood and I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And if I'm not, then I just don't do it. You know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
I'll write on the spot type deal. Like if we pull up to the studio and stuff, and a fire beat comes on, and she's like, "Yo, y'all want to record?" It's like, "Fuck it, yeah, this beat's fire." You know what I mean? And just start writing.
Fuck yeah. How much takes does it normally, or let's just say for this album, how many takes does it normally take you per song to get it right? Or is it just first take?
Nah, sometimes I'll struggle with some of the stuff, you know what I mean? Like putting certain syllables together and stuff, like and like using different rhyme schemes. Like I'm more comfortable with certain things, and other things I'm just like kind of experimenting, and just I'm always just trying to like add on something fresh, you know what I mean, new. Like if I felt like I haven't done it verbally myself, you know what I mean? Like I try to like, oh, let me try to do this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much like the process of that.
Yeah. When this album came out, because I know it came out on Bandcamp way before it came out on streaming. What did you notice any immediate reaction from the fans when it dropped? Like a big flood of comments, reactions, people telling you what they thought? Was it or was it a gradual like?
Um I feel like it was pretty instant because like people like gravitated towards the artwork a lot, you know what I mean? And then with us, we did a I did a little album release party, so I was already getting a lot of feedback before we even dropped the album. Where I was like, man, and I just like felt like this one was a special album just because I felt like I was going through like a a difficult time, you know what I mean? In my life during that time where I was just like able to like channel that into my music for the first time, you know what I mean? Like a lot of my older albums have just been kind of like sporadic, like, oh, I'm gonna just put an album together, you know what I mean, and just start rapping over it versus like this one, like I felt like, like I had to like one up myself, you know what I mean, and like make something in my catalog that was gonna like stand out immediately, you know what I mean? So like, um, yeah, like that is pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was the creative process or the differences between, say, this album and let's just say Hood Alchemy? What's like the difference between for you?
Um, so like with Hood Alchemy, that one was like um mainly all recorded in studio with Grubby. Um, and he does a lot of like cooking up stuff on the spot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like with Bones, he's like he comes ready and he's sending me stuff in advance, and with Grubby, he'll send me some stuff in advance, but he kind of likes to like work right in the spot, and he'll just be like catch your vibe, you know what I mean? And he's like, yo, if this looks like it's moving him, all right, boom, you know what I mean? So like Grubby's a master with that, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he will
Yeah.
definitely like move an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Grubby's more like an in the moment producer, while Bone Weso is more of a methodical, like taking his time kind of.
Oh well, don't get me wrong because Bones will do on the spots too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's been doing this for years. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like, he will definitely do things on the spot. But uh most of our process working has been him already. You know, he's been digging into his producer bag when it comes to like the Renaissance and stuff, where he's his process is, oh, if I sit down I'm making 10 beats, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm
Yeah.
not getting up till I'm done making these 10 beats, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like normally he'll be ahead of rappers, you know what I mean? Like where it's like he's like low key a rapper too. You know what I mean? Through the
Yeah.
beats, and he's just like, you know what I mean. His process is quick. Like he'll cook he'll cook a lot of producers out here with his process and his like his drive to work.
Yeah, I still remember when that album dropped, The Hidden Splash. I literally sought out a paid review as soon as I could so I could pay for this album. I remember I was like, I need to get this album. And it blew me away. And like I said, I've shown it to so many of my friends who aren't even into underground hip hop, and they've come back to me like, "Oh shit, who is this guy?" And trying to find your old albums because they love your shit so much on this. So I think you have blown up as much as you hoped for on this new album.
Yeah, I think so. You know what I mean? And but as an artist, we're like never really satisfied like with we will be in the moment where it's just like, oh, I feel like this is my best work, and then I mean you start moving forward and you're just like, damn, like we kind of like elevating the craft a little more every time we step in it and we start working, you know what I mean? So like um I feel like the best is still yet to come, you know what I mean? Like there's no telling, like, you know what I mean, when that will, you know what I mean, when I'll meet my expectations, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, as someone who's a prominent underground artist, have you noticed like a shift in the culture between the underground hip hop and the mainstream hip hop? Because I think the mainstream, like what I've said to many people in my reviews in the past, is I feel the underground has the same energy and hunger that the 90s hip hop era did, the early 2000s era. Yeah. So I want your take on that as an underground artist.
Nah, absolutely. You know, like when I pay attention to like you know, a lot of like the older school music that I grew up on, it's starting to sound like that sound is coming back and more even in some like I mean, I don't know what you would call mainstream, you know what I mean? Like if you like right now if you're just talking about like let's say I mean, I don't know because it's just like a big fusion of like where a lot of those bigger artists are working with people from the underground, you know what I mean? Where or whatever people consider to be the underground, you know what I mean? Cuz um it there's like a big like shift going on, you know what I mean, when it comes to this music and like I've been noticing it, you know what I mean? I've been like taking my time to like really study the music, you know what I mean, and just you know like pay attention to what other artists are doing and stuff, and staying connected to you know my hometown, with all the artists that you know what I mean we work with, you know what I mean, paying attention to them and seeing them elevate things, you know what I mean, like raising the bar, which keeps me like in tune where I'm just like, oh yeah, like you know what I mean, like I have to like catch up with these guys in a sense, you know what I mean, and yeah, bro, that always keeps me on my toes, you know what I mean? Like active, like ready to get in there, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, like it's kind of hard to describe right now because it's like there's like a very thin line between mainstream and underground, or what people consider to be underground. I would call it Renaissance because it's just like you know, like you were saying, like the correlation you're seeing between like the '90s rap with what's going on now. Um, it's like it's like that's coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's exciting, bro, because like to come from that, you know what I mean? Like that I always felt weird because growing up, whatever was in, I wasn't listening to that stuff. I was always listening to like stuff from the 90s and the early 90s and you know, stuff like that, and like having our teachers in school put us on to like Run DMC and all types of stuff, and I and like me actually liking this stuff, and all the rest of the kids was like, oh, this isn't Nelly or this isn't you know whatever was popping at that time, you know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
I probably have no idea what was popping because I was like so focused in the '90s stuff and like listening to Stretch and Bobito fresh freestyles and stuff, you know what I mean? Like that grainy raw shit, like where I was just like, oh man, like this is like, you know what I mean? It always drove me in like an opposite direction, which I feel like that's why I'm here now, you know what I mean? Like making music because that's coming back, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, a thought I've always had is the one thing I love about the underground since I've gotten into it is the work ethic. It's the drive of everyone around me. I know I'm a reviewer, I'm not a rapper or a producer, but you see all these artists working their asses off, either doing, self-made tours or like, listening parties or doing tons of features, making lots of albums, doing, giving back to the culture, making merch, but it's all done independently, and that makes me want to work harder, spit out more reviews, and it feels like there's a whole vicious circle of work ethic going around in the underground, and I fucking love it because it inspires me to try to live up to that same work ethic that I see everyone else on.
No, no, yeah, like I said, you know what I mean. Me and you have had a conversations about, you know what I mean, your reviews and stuff, and like I'll be like, damn, bro, those your reviews put the battery in my back because someone that's able to like describe what they're listening to, you know what I mean, in the fashion that you do is like it's wild to me, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, damn, like there's people that actually really pay attention to the music versus like
Mm.
um you might just play your stuff for somebody and they kind of like just don't really pay attention. It's like, this is not for you. You know what I mean? Like you just
Yeah,
know when something is not for somebody and they don't get excited like other people do. You know what I mean? Or like how I
yeah,
would get excited whenever I listen to like a new ST track or a new Al Divino or a Body Rock. You know what I mean? And I could just keep going. Blue Hill Live. You know what I mean? Like just a whole bunch of dudes, and I'm just like, oh man, like you know what I mean, drives me to want to continue doing music. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I definitely understand that. So is there anything that you can tell us, like any details beforehand about what the fans should expect about your career this year?
I'm kind of like still working on that because I got a ton of projects that are like just backed up. You know what I mean? That I need to get mixing and mastering done for. You know, we've chopped it up about some of the stuff that I got in the works. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, you know, kind of taking my time to like really revise everything and like, you know, um, try to like match that energy or surpass the energy of the Hidden Splash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, you know what I mean, to add on to that, like we already got the Hidden Splash 2 recorded. You know what I mean? Which is something that we just need to sit down and just, you know what I mean, go through it, listen to it again, and you know, do some mixing and mastering, work on some artwork and stuff. So like, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna focus on this year. It's just like pretty much getting out all this stuff that I got
Mm-hmm.
in the hard drive, you know what I mean, and pushing all that stuff out.
Nice. Well, look, this has been a great interview. Like I said, I just wanted to pick your brain over the Hidden Splash, and it's so cool that someone who I admire in the underground is actually here with me face to face, and especially that intro you did for me, however long ago it was, for my Seventh Tongue Awards. That was fucking sick. Everyone's been complimenting me on that as well. So you're a sick artist, one of my favorites, and I'm glad that I get to inspire my friends to check you out, and they all love it. So I'm excited to see what you do on the new year, and yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
All right, have a good one.
Hi, you too, brother.
Have a good one.